Like one boy told us, "Why am I leaving? Because in my neighborhood, you're more likely to get shot than to find a job." When you ask people why they are leaving or why once deported they try to go back, the story typically starts with, "Well, I'm leaving for economical reasons." But when you start to inquire further, they say, "I had my bodega, but I lost it because of extortion, violence, and because I don't have anyone to report to who can protect me. I can't go to the police because the police won't protect me. And what's more, I'm afraid of the police. Therefore, I have no other choice but to leave."
Papá lo mataron. Yo no estaba seguro como, digamos, las personas que lo mataron tal vez iban a venir a mi familia a matar a los demás.
Todo el pueblo que había delincuencia, mataban mucho a gente y también mataron a un tío mío con un machete, lo mataron.
El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala have had the highest homicide rates in the world over the past 10 years. Every day, more than 1,000 people, men, women, and children, flee these countries for North America. The reason I chose this topic for my research was because of the reoccurring theme of torment on poorer families in the region. One story that stood out to me that was mentioned was about a 12-year-old girl who was forced to be raped by a gang of 8 men in order to save her younger brother from being killed. In the end, the girl was raped and both children were brutally murdered by the gang. Stories like this happen on innocent families far too often in Central America. After hearing this, I wanted to learn more about how families could escape this injustice and suffering. During my research, I read a piece from Oscar Martinez that looks at the large number of unaccompanied children migrating from the Central American countries to the US as of 2014, focusing on gang violence in these countries and other factors behind the trend and on related US government policies. In the Northern Triangle of Central America, children are not only being killed, but brutally so, stabbed to death, cut into pieces, and tortured. But the violence here has been going on for years. When President George W. Bush signed the TVPRA into law in 2008, there were 52 murders per 100,000 people in El Salvador. The number shot up to 71 in 2009 before plateauing at 65. Enrique Pomar is currently affiliated with the Institute for the Study of International Migration at Georgetown University. He's also the author of over 50 publications and serves in the editorial board of multiple academic journals, including Sociological Forum, and is the contributing editor for sociology for the Handbook of Latin American Studies. According to him, the main cause of mass migration is a combination of political, economic, and social factors. Politically, these are weak states which are battling years of foreign interferences, corruption, and cronyism, and therefore do not serve the most marginalized populations well. Economically, these nations experience wide inequalities, a lack of opportunities for social mobility, and a poor quality of life. Socially, there is the question of personal insecurities due to the drug trafficking and gang violence. Targeted violence towards families is a result from gang recruitments. Many individuals that reject joining a gang either end up being tortured or dead. The gangs not only recruit heavily among children who act as messengers or drug runners because they're better able to evade detection by police, they're also recruiting younger and younger children. According to El Salvador's National Public Security Council, the typical age at which children enter the gangs has dropped from 14 to 12. El Salvador's Minister of Education has attributed the high dropout rates at many schools to gang recruitment. An important topic to understand when it comes to migration is debt-driven migration, which demonstrates the difference between voluntary and involuntary migration under international refugee laws. Historically, families would receive loans for the migration journey from more reliable means, but they now are forced to turn to high-interest loans from unregulated or loosely regulated institutions. As a result, these families are trapped in an ongoing cycle of migration and deportation that continuously compounds the interest each time, and after and if deported, remigration may be the only viable means of debt repayment. Another major risk about migrating is the potential to be separated at the border. Due to immigration policies, many families are being separated at the border, and the children are kept in detention centers without their parents. This heightens the risk of exposing young children to negative outcomes that generally lead to stress-induced trauma. Studies reveal that a considerable amount of children's trauma develops during the pre-migration and migration phase. These children are raised in a life of poverty while in constant fear of their unstable community. While in the pre-migration stage, the children expect to migrate and find a better lifestyle with their parents. However, they're left confused and fearful when they're separated from their parents at the border. Children are more vulnerable to worse health problems since they're too young to articulate their emotions and do not understand their new environment.